Hey, let's talk about it, cause honestly we need to talk about social issues, just uplifting my people. Yeah, let's talk about it. Come join the conversation. A connection's what we're creating. Yeah.
What's happening, everybody? How y'all doing? So yesterday, me and my son, we just spent some time talking, and we was talking about my grandfather. And everybody always hear me come on here speak about my grandmother, whatever. But he was just asking me questions about my grandfather, and he was saying things that he remembered and everything. And later on, I had a moment, right? And I wanted to share something with you guys, right? Now, I am the first grandchild, right? Like I'm the first, you know what I mean? And 45 years ago, my parents made the conscious decision to entrust my care with my grandparents. My father was in DC, my mom was in Ohio, whatever, but they made the conscious decision together to put my care into my grandparents, right? And, when I think about it, God already had his hand on me. You know what I'm saying? Because the person that you see here today, it wouldn't have happened if they didn't entrust my grandparents. So being that I was the first, my grandmother, loved me. I mean, she loved me like no other, right? And, my grandfather, me and him spent so much time together because I was the first, right? And we had all of these talks and everything together. And I just began to think about me back in the day growing up. You see, I watched my grandfather go from minister K-Row to elder to bishop, right? And because of that, I felt like I had so much pressure. But as I grew older, I realized that it was no pressure. He didn't put no pressure on me. It was pressure that I put on myself. And let me explain to you how. I saw my grandfather live everything that he preached about. Like I saw that. I was a witness to that. So much so that it used to bug me. You know what I'm saying? Like I got in a fight. He made me go shake hands and invite him to church. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff that people wouldn't even believe, right? And I saw it firsthand. And I admired him so much. Like I admired him so much. And I felt as if I needed to be just like him. Now with my grandmother, I would tell my grandmother I wanted to go to the NBA. She'd tell me, yeah, go ahead, you're gonna go to the NBA. Whatever I told her that I wanted to do, right? She was my cheerleader. But my grandfather, from my perspective, because of what a great man he was, I felt like I wasn't living up to his stature. But years later, I realized that was no pressure he put on me. You see, I would get in trouble in school, and my grandfather, he'd come pick me up from school or whatever. And this was the thing. I didn't get very many whippings. But when he would pick me up from school, when I get in that car, I knew he was going to talk to me. We was going to go to the store. We was going to get back in the car. He was going to talk to me. And I mean, I would rather get a whooping. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would rather get a whooping. And as I start growing older, he would say things to me that stuck with me to this day. And a lot of times I come on here and some of the stuff that I'm saying is stuff that he, planted in me. But I remember one time I got in trouble and he told me, he said, "Lil Rodney, I want to see you in heaven, but I'm not going to hell to make sure you get there." And I used to be like, what in the world does that mean? like what in the world does that mean? Or he used to say, you can be wrong so long that you're right. And those little things, I was just like, it just didn't make no sense to me at the time. So as I start growing up, like getting older, I would hear, people in the church or this, that, and the other talk about, their kid is going to college, or, their kid just got their master's, a PhD, and this, that, and the other. And I felt the pressure of that. He didn't put no pressure on me. I felt the pressure of that because what I thought was when people were saying things about their kids, going to college, and this, that, and the other, I felt as if he wanted that from me. Now, don't get me wrong. He wanted me, you know what I'm saying, whatever. But here's the thing, and I'm around all of this out, and this goes especially to parents. He wanted me to be the best version of me. I only knew what was the best version of me. What he did was guide me to be the best version of myself. That added pressure, that was all me. And I've said this before, right? And this is going to sound crazy because we spent so much time together, grocery shopping, everything, right? And probably when I was 14, 15, I didn't think he liked me. I knew he loved me, but I didn't think he liked me. But I didn't think he liked me because of how I was living. That I knew that I was not being the best version of myself. I went to college, tried to go to college, you know what I'm saying? And I messed all of that up. And I remember when we were going to get my grades, I knew that I had jacked up. You know what I'm saying? And the grades came out, I just got rid of the grades, whatever. And he took me up there and we found out my grades and he was so hurt. I thought that he was hurt because of my grades. But he was so hurt because I lied. See, there's a big difference. My grandfather was so concerned about my soul. I was concerned that I was not making him look good. He was concerned about my soul. So, once I made the decision I was going to the military, he took me to MEPS. And while we was driving, it wasn't much conversation or whatever. But the closer that we got, he just started telling me, like, he was proud of me. And my whole life, I just wanted him to be proud of me. So, we was getting there. He told me he was proud of me. He told me I was going to do good. And I went to boot camp and I was messing up in boot camp. And I remember I called home one day and he told me, he said, I love you. I'm praying for you. And it was just like those little messages, like, it just, you know what I'm saying? It made me do good. So my first duty station, I go to Japan. And, I would call him, he would pray for me or whatever. And then my first deployment, they went to a lot of those places that I was at. I didn't get to see them, but I just knew that they were there. So the first time that I came home from leave from Japan, my grandfather had the biggest smile. And it was in that moment I got it. It didn't matter if I had a master's. It didn't matter if I had a PhD. It didn't matter if I went to the NBA. It didn't matter, none of that stuff. What mattered to him was I was the best version of myself. You see, I thought that it was destined for me to be a minister. But I thought that because that's what his path was. And I remember I said something to him one time and he told me, he said, you can't be me. You know what I'm saying? Like he told me, you can't be me. And I couldn't, because in order to be him, I would have to walk a mile in his shoes. He walked many miles in those shoes, but if I walked a quarter of a mile, that might have killed me. And this is the lesson in this video, right? Because when you have kids, you want what's best for the kids. And what happens is sometimes your best isn't their path. I'm gonna say that again. Your best isn't their path. You see, my grandfather could have put all the pressure on me to be a minister. He could have put all that pressure on me, but he didn't. I put the pressure on myself because I thought. And as a parent, sometimes we sit back and we see like everybody else's kids doing, X, Y, and Z. And it becomes a competition. So when I talk to my kids, the first thing that I always do is I make sure I'm aligned. Because my grandfather didn't tell me anything that he didn't do. When he told me that I had to be a good person, even when I wasn't a good person, I saw him do it. And what that instilled in me is whenever I veered left, something inside of me let me know that I was veering left. And I couldn't do what everybody else was doing. It was something inherently in me. Even when I was doing wrong, I felt like I had something in my head that's like, hey, come on now. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, Garrett, let's. So all of these years later, when you have kids, you know, you want them to be the best version of themselves. I also want them to be able to look and see the example. I was blessed and highly favored because I had two grandparents that I watched walk that life. And there's times during the day that I get choked up because, you know, years later when my grandfather got sick, you know, I have a picture. And that picture is me taking him to the VA, right? I came home and I was taking him to the VA. And in that picture, it was like the changing of the tide. You see, everything that he taught me when I was younger caused me to be able to take care of him and my grandmother. Everything that he taught me, even when I didn't, I thought that I was just doing so wrong. But all of that teaching turned out to help later in life, the both of them. And none of that would have been possible if my parents didn't entrust me to them. And the lesson in this video is, you know, I thought that I was running a race. I thought that I was running a race. And I'm running as fast as I can, and I'm looking left or right, and I'm making sure nobody passes me, you know, because I want to win the race. But the older that I got, I realized I'm running a marathon. And when you're running a marathon, it's just you and the clock. I ran the Rock and Roll Marathon in San Diego. And there was a point to when we were on the expressway, right? It was a point to where I wanted to stop. And the crew that I was running with, everybody went their own ways, you know what I'm saying, whatever, right? But there came a point that I wanted to stop. And I look back and I'm in the middle of the highway. If I stopped here, I still got to walk all the way back. So in that moment, I realized that, hey, it doesn't matter how fast you run it. It doesn't matter who's passing you. Because I thought, you know, when I'm seeing these people pass me, I'm like, oh man, I got to speed up. But it didn't matter what anybody else was doing. It was me, the clock, in the finish line. There was a group of ladies when I was running, and when we started out, past them, boom. But what I didn't realize that mile 6, I saw them again. Mile 9, I saw them again. And I'm thinking, how in the world do I keep seeing them? Because I'm taking off, I'm running, whatever. But what I realized is I would take sprints and then I would slow down. They kept the same steady pace. And every moment that I got tired, this, that, and other, they passed by. So I'm saying that to say this, for anybody out there that feels like you are running a race, you're not. It's a marathon, and it's just you and the finish line and the clock. And a lot of people are so successful, far more than what they thought they would be. They still have the mentality that they're running a race. And what generally happens when you feel that way, it pours out to everybody else. And when you're a parent, sometimes that trickles down to your kids. You're so focused on what everybody else doing right. I turn on the news sometimes and like I'll see, you know, the best ninth grader, you know what I'm saying, in basketball. And then sometimes I would find myself looking at my youngest and being like, look at this. And in those moments, I stop myself a lot of times. And I'm like, I'm putting pressure on him when that might not be his path. Now, I'm not going to let him just not do anything, but I have to watch myself, because the very thing that I did when I was young, they didn't put the pressure on me. My grandfather wanted me to be the best version of myself. He wanted me to be respectful. He wanted me to love and know the power of God. Everything else after that, I put on myself. And when you put things on yourself, you got to put someone to blame when it doesn't work out the way you think it's going to work out. And that's why a lot of people right now have so much animosity towards their parents. They have so much animosity towards their parents because they feel like they're still running a race. So many people are successful, but you sit back and you look at your parents or whoever raised you, and you hold on to one thing. They might have said, you ain't gonna be nothing. Here you are 30 years later and you're something, but you hold on to that one thing. And what you have to understand is, sometime as a parent, they did the best that they did for what they knew. And by grace of God, you are successful right now, right? And then when you have kids, you realize a lot of the things. You see, you can't fault people for doing their best. My grandparents raised me, and my grandparents have never went to a movie theater. They don't know a thing about drugs. They didn't know any of that because they walked that path. So think about it. I could have did any and everything and then say, well, it was something that I wasn't taught. I wasn't taught a lot of things. I was taught the foundation because that's what they knew. Everything else in life, I had to take the foundation and then I just added to it, brick by brick, brick by brick. And a lot of people out there, you are so focused on what happened that you miss out on what's happening.
Hey, let's talk about it, cause honestly we need to talk about social issues, just uplifting my people. Yeah, let's talk about it. Come join the conversation. A connection's what we're creating. Yeah.